I was over here near this creek I grew up fishing in, and was like, man, this would be cool to show everybody kind of what got me into fishing, is taking my shoes off, getting in the creek, wading up and down it. You catch a lot of cool different little type of sunfish, bluegills, red ears, just a bunch of different ones that you don't see much in the lakes. And it's easy fishing. Just get a little ultralight rod with some 4-pound test. You don't even have to have a rod. I used to do it with a hand line and a bottle, or just some string. But get a little bitty brim hook and some worms. We're about to get in here and see what we can catch. I used to, kind of the treasure when I used to do this was catching a catfish. There's a few catfish in here, little bullhead catfish. I love catching them, and that was like the treasure when I was growing up. You caught a catfish, you were the man. The good thing when you're doing this, I didn't find very many worms because it's really, really dry. But these fish in the creek are always looking for something to eat, so it doesn't really take much. You just need a little tiny piece to catch something. My worm is about as thin as my hook. A little tiny piece there, that's all we need. So it's instant. That's what makes this fun to do. Catch all kind of different species, but this is just a plain old bluegill like you see in the lakes. It's just a little bitty bluegill. But all the types of fish you catch doing this, that's what makes it fun. This is something that even somebody that doesn't fish can go do. Pretty much any creek that has any little holes that are just deep enough where you can't see the bottom. Well, you just not inches deep. If it's a foot, 2 foot deep, and you can't see the bottom real well, there's some type of fish in it. And in some states, in South Carolina, we don't really have many. Some states, there's a lot of bass in these little creeks. But in South Carolina, we have mostly like bluegill, panfish type things, not so many bass. But you will catch the occasional bass. Oh, that was a bigger bluegill I had there. Pretty much everybody has access to some little creek like this, whether it's in your backyard, your neighborhood, or just public land. There's some small creeks I fish a lot, used to fish a lot on some public land, but any little creek offers a good time. Another bluegill. Oh no, this is not a bluegill. This is a different species we got here. I don't know the names. Y'all tell me the names of all these in the comments. I don't know what all they are. First one was a bluegill. This one's just a little bit different. Some type of creek sunfish. Got bright colors. This looks a little bit different than your typical bluegill. Oh, we got a different one. We got a different species. It's pretty cool, all the different types of sunfish you can catch. These creeks, he's trying to flop out of my hands, but got red fins. Cool one. Doing this is it's kind of like an adventure too. That's what really makes a kid or someone really enjoy doing this. Even myself, it's kind of like an adventure, you know, wading through these creeks, and you can go. I used to go for miles doing this. Oh, got another one. I call these. So when I was growing up, these are actually good catfish bait, but these are creek chubs. Bass will eat these often in some rivers, but this is a creek chub. But I used to call them horny heads. This one doesn't have it, but they get these little bumps on their heads. But this is just a creek chub. He's gonna flop out of my hands, but it's just a creek chub. There's a lot of these in all these creeks. Oh. But we've been doing this for 10 minutes already, caught like 4 different species. Hey, buddy. It is also a good way to kind of get used to the feel of a bite. You don't put a bobber on. You can put a bobber, but don't do it with a bobber. You get used to the feel of fish nibbling on your worm because you get a bite instantly. I think anybody watching at home, if you're a serious fisherman or you're just getting into it, doing this brings back some nostalgia of kind of your childhood, catching all these different type fish in these creeks. Good, buddy. Walking these creeks too, you get to see all kind of cool things, you know, in nature. Like there's a bunch of deer tracks here. So where a raccoon had been messing around up there, you just get to see all kind of cool things wading up and down these creeks that you don't pay attention to when you're in a boat, you know, out on the lake. But these creeks are, everything likes to walk up and down them. So if I'm wanting to catch one of the catfish, I'm in these creeks, I always bring my old trusty hot dog. Sometimes the bluegills, they eat your worms so fast, you can't get to the catfish. This little hole I'm in now, growing up, I just know it's got a lot of catfish in it. So, brought me a little piece of hot dog, and we're gonna see if we can get us a catfish, a bullhead. Let's see how long it takes. It's a big old piece of bait, so we'll see. Golly, that's a big bluegill on a hot dog. I don't think that's a bluegill, but it's big. It's not a bluegill, but it's just one of these same type creek sunfish I was catching earlier. But that is a giant one. That's a big one. It might be a red ear. I know I probably got my names wrong, but it's a big old male with a hump head. Let's let him go. Got me a catfish. The creek trophy. The catfish. So these are little bullhead catfish. Some creeks have a ton of them, some don't have very many. I've kind of fished around a bunch of creeks trying to find these, because I used to love to catch them. But it looks like a baby catfish. I used to, when I was younger, I thought they were baby, but it's just a bullhead catfish. His big broad tail. Got really sharp fins, so you grab them, be careful grabbing them. But to me, that's one of the neatest creek fish. They live in some little bitty creeks, like creeks you wouldn't even think they'd be in. You catch channel cats in some bigger ones, but these little small creeks, catch some bullheads. The creek trophy. It's like the 10-pounder of the creek.